Fast food workers, what should we never order from you? I worked at a Japanese casual fast food restaurant, and we had this thing called a volcano roll. It cost $7.25. A California roll there cost $3.75. The volcano roll was a Cali roll cut into the shape of a triangle and topped with spicy mayo that has been heated up with about $0.10 worth of fish, literally just a few bits. You are much better off ordering a Cali roll and paying $0.50 extra for spicy mayo on the side and asking them to heat it up. I had one guy come in with his girlfriend and ordered a volcano roll, and when served in the restaurant, unless they ask us, we would put it on top so it looked nice, like a volcano. When I brought it over he was like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys put the sauce on. I've only gotten it for pickup, and the sauce is always on the side. I don't really like it. Could you bring me one without it?" I tried not to laugh and said sure. I went back, and the sushi chef asked what was wrong. I told him that he didn't like the sauce and want one without it. He laughed and said alright, so he took a Cali roll, cut it up, and put it on the plate. I brought it back to the guy, and he was super pumped. Basically this guy paid $7.25 for a roll that would have cost him $3.75 and me and the sushi chef got to split a free volcano roll. Point at it. Those of you saying that I should have just charged him for the Cali roll, it's something I normally would. I would often tell people about a lunch specials to save them money and would often give extra sauce out for free. But this guy was kind of being really arrogant. I explained it a bit better when I told this story a few years ago. Ex-Sonic employee here. Don't order steak or grilled chicken. Evident get the new ultimate chicken sandwiches. They're insanely overpriced and the normal crispy chicken sandwiches taste better anyway. The best time to get fresh food is when the place is busy, as they're less likely to give you something that's been in the hold for an hour, or their hold will continually be fresh. If there's a sale going on for something like half-priced hot dogs or half-priced burgers, only order a reasonable amount if you want quality. If someone orders 20 burgers in the middle of a rush on half-priced burger day, we give no fucks. We will throw that beach together so sloppily you'll barely be able to call it a burger. This doesn't apply to half-priced corn dogs, however, as we're able to just make a bunch at a time anyway. Don't get the chili. It comes in a bag, gets warmed up in a metal tub, and then sits for 10 hours until we run out and replace it. It's also just not very good to begin with. Try the seasoned popcorn chicken. The BBQ and garlic parmesan flavors are actually really good. If you're allergic to any kinds of foods, be wary. Onions are in the same dressing station as the rest of the condiments and cross-contamination is not our problem. The same goes for peanuts with the shakes. If you're getting a milkshake, be aware that there are 3 different kinds and therefore 3 different prices. There's the normal shakes, the master shakes, and the new creamery shakes. The creamery shakes are actually good, just don't get the lavender one. And if you're getting a slushie, the same thing applies, only it's normal slush, candy slush, and real fruit slush. If you're at a stall and the card reader isn't working, just wait for the car hop to come out and give them your card. Don't call in again to ask why the card reader isn't working. Don't hit on the car hops. It's a shitty job and they have to put on a smile when they deal with you. They're not smiling because they like you, and if they do want to flirt with you for whatever reason, they will make it very clear. Sonics are dirty, at least in the region I worked. We were continually understaffed and expected to run the entire place with a small crew and clean. We do the best we can, but we don't get paid enough to stay after our shift and work off the clock cleaning up. It sucks, but that's the way it goes. When I worked there in Canada, McDonald's grilled chicken could sit there for a long time. So can the filet-o-fish. Usually they are on top of it, but shit happens. Don't be afraid to order those fresh if you worry it might be stale. Same with regular burger patties. They take like 40 seconds, it's no big deal. I've done a 4-hour shift and just forgot to throw out the old grilled chicken and make new ones because nobody ordered it and it had already went past the timer when I got on, so there was no beeping to remind me. It sounds stupid and it was. We're all human and humans are dumb. Though point, what you should order is fresh grilled chicken. Edit. Takes about 7 to 10 minutes, though. I used to time grilled chicken for my breaks. because it was just that good. Also fresh cookies. Super gooey chocolate, soft and warm. Point edit. A large amount people in the responses I've got don't like asking special because they feel bad for the sometimes overworked cooks or worry they'll do something. I've been on both ends of the cook/consumer equation at MCD, so I completely understand. Point it does suck for the cooks, but it also sucks paying for stale food. The cooks will groan internally, but making 1 or 2 items food is honestly very simple back there, and if they serve dry food they know it, as they had to put it in your meal. Most employees honestly do care about the quality of the food they make, and won't mind making a new one. Just like how you feel bad asking extra of them, they feel bad serving old food. I've never seen anything purposefully malicious or spiteful done outside of lazily throwing the food together, though. I work at Jimmy John's, and my honest answer is that everything is always fresh, unless you have a terrible manager, and if that happens, corporate shuts you down immediately. Our meats are sliced in the shop, and are always refrigerated, and even then, they are sliced the day before most of the time. Same with the veggies and such. The real trick is knowing how to order your sandwich and save money. The Jimmy John's menu is specifically created to squeeze money out of its customers' pockets when you don't know how to order. Let me give you some examples. Our #2, 3, 4, BLT, 14, 16, and 17 all come without cheese. It is our least expensive product, and yet we charge 75 cents extra to put it on. If you are willing to pay that 75 cents, always ask for extra cheese if you want it. Sometimes prices vary from store to store, but most of the time 2 portions of cheese cost the same as 1. If you are getting a sub, 1 to 6, BLT, and you are wondering what the difference is between a sub and a club, 7 to 17, gargantuan, it is only that we got the bread and there are more meats and cheeses in it, that you can often get relatively the same sandwich by adding as many freebies as you want to a sub and asking for LBI, which means leave the bread in. For example, a ham and cheese sandwich can come with extra mayo, cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuce, onions, mustard, sauce, oregano and hot peppers on a filet-inch sub, and still cost you $5. The only difference between that and a 6.49 club is a single serving of ham. Those are just a few, but keep that in mind when you order. Sorry for the tangent. Subway worker here. A Veggie Delight / kids pack / anything on wheat bread. The Veggie Delight doesn't have anything terribly wrong. It's just the same price as all the other subs. Seems like a waste to me. Even if you're vegetarian, must be better options out there. Kids pack. That sheet is expensive. The 4-inch sandwich for your kid with 1 slice of meat costs the same as the 6-inch I could give you with a drink, with 4 slices of the same meat etc. If you're desperate, get a cookie as add-on. The regular brown bread gets dry fast. If it's fresh, all the bread is good. Coming down to the end of the day, run from the sandpaper wheat bread. Ironically though, the bread that seems to stay freshest longest is the honey oat wheat bread. Not sure why. Things I do recommend. Change your sandwich to a salad bowl. It's a pain in the ass for us to make, so I may regret this, but you get way more bang for your buck. Lastly, never order the roast chicken. It's alright, but I guarantee there is some specialty chicken going for a cheaper price. And to be honest, all we do is add the various sauces to the roast chicken, so it's basically the same thing, just cheaper and usually with juice. Out as add-on. Some Subways are really good with food prep and all that. They always keep it fresh, replace things on time, and actually throw out what they shouldn't keep. Others get limited funding and have to make them stretch. A good indicator is the cookies. Every Subway bakes them fresh first thing in the morning. If you walk in and there are some that look slightly older than the others, then that's because they are. Not sure if it counts, but I work at a Domino's and I have some advice. Very rarely do we take notice of no garlic, light / extra buffalo sauce, or well / lightly done so. If you order with any of those things, keep in mind that drivers usually prepare the food and box it out of the oven. Unless specifically told, it's difficult to spot the instructions given by a customer. Personally, I would never eat the brownies, as they are all pre-made, and, despite being sinfully delicious, are not worth it. The wings are delicious, but usually fall under the same buffalo sauce dilemma. I recommend ordering mild wings instead of hot, as the only difference is the volume of sauce. Premium chicken is a scam. The garlic cups are not the same as what goes on the crust, which is delicious. I would drink a whole bottle if I were ready to die, and gluten-free pizzas are cut with the same pizza cutter unless specified otherwise. Never order more than 2 toppings on a thin crust. The cutter will spread the cheese, and whoever prepares it will likely not bother to fix it. Never buy specialty pizzas, make them yourself in the creator. And lastly, if you saw how the parmesan bread bites were prepared, I don't think you would want to eat them anymore. That being said, I make about 15 of them a day, and I still eat them. And for a bit of good advice to brighten the mood, you can use your free pizza, with points, to get a pan or thin crust pizza, though it will cost $1 or $2. The same goes for extra toppings. For all my Canadian brethren out there, Tim Hortons baker here. I worked the midnight shift at a location that had a high employee turnover rate, rightly so, as it was always understaffed and underpaid. Tips: coffee is supposed to be made fresh every 15 minutes. There should be a white marking on the pot indicating when it was last brewed. Look for the marking, make sure it's fresh. Coffee flavor deteriorates really quickly, and we don't mind making you a fresh pot, especially if we messed up and forgot to throw out an old batch. Decaf is hardly ordered in the mornings, so it's likely we'll have to brew a fresh pot or you're getting old product. If you want to order food, do it before midnight, as this is when we throw away the old donuts / buns / bagels, etc. They're usually sold to farmers who use them in their animal feed, so don't ask if you can have one of those old donuts for free. Our hands are tied. Fresh donuts are usually available at 2 to 3 am, maybe earlier if the location is somewhere popular and not understaffed, maybe later if the people in the front are lazy liars who don't want to make food. The general consensus for drive-through orders is don't order anything more than 4 coffees, at most, or 2 meals. The people on drive-through are strictly timed, and they get in trouble if they take too long. If you're ordering as a large group, please for the love of God go inside. Don't make huge orders after 9 PM. This is a time when the store is most understaffed. Usually all that's left is 1 or 2 if the location is popular, people in the front and 1 baker. If you see the baker up front or in drive-through, clad in all white, odds are the people in the front are really behind and called them off his / her routine. Forgive us if we get your order wrong and need to repeat it once or twice. If we take a long time making your order, more than 5 minutes, we'll usually offer you a free cookie. Don't count on it though. Information: during the midnight shift, bakers spending most of their time in a -20°C freezer, losing circulation in their hands prepping the frozen product onto cold metal trays. I can't speak for other bakers, but I sucked at making the sandwiches / bagels, as my mind is somewhere else actively tracking oven timers, while my hands are numb beyond belief. The donuts are never made from scratch. They are shipped to the store partially baked and frozen solid. They can be stored for months at a time. If people are bad at rotating new product to the back, hopefully this helps someone. I used to work at Raising Cane's. They only sell a couple things: chicken and fries, so that's always fresh. They were also super clean. I would not order anything with egg whites at IHOP, though. A few years back I went to IHOP with my then girlfriend. She saw on the menu that substituting egg whites for eggs in the omelets and stuff was an option. Healthier, lower calories. Now, you have to realize, when most people go to IHOP, they are not looking to be healthy. They are looking to set world record calorie and cholesterol levels. So egg whites are probably not ordered often. But my girlfriend was watching what she ate, and she is also the type to always heavily modify the menu. She almost never ordered straight off the menu. So she requests an omelette made with egg whites. The waitress seemed totally confused. In all honesty, I don't think she had ever heard someone order that before, and she may not have even realized it was an option. She said she would check with the kitchen. She came back a couple minutes later and said the kitchen crew were looking for some egg whites. Then about 10 minutes after that, she came back and said they found some egg whites, but they are going to take a while to thaw out. Do you still want them? Most people here would say no. Not my then girlfriend. She was like, great, thanks. Well, suffice to say, my girlfriend ended up with the worst food poisoning I've ever seen. She was vomiting every 45 minutes for almost 2 days straight. She had to be put on a fourth and prescribed this special skin gel that stopped vomiting. It was insane. In all seriousness, for a brief moment, I honestly think she considered that she might die. So, moral of the story is to not order anything at a restaurant that looks like someone never orders it, which is also the message in the current top comment. I dunno. I ran 3 pizza places for 8 years, and I was incredibly all about proper rotation. If the product had a marked shelf life of 5 days, it was gone after the 3rd. We had a decent amount of frozen product, our meats, which were flash frozen, and even that fell under the same rule. The guy who owned the place hated that I did it, but my food cost only went up about 1%, and I had a bit of damn pride about making sure I wasn't serving shit. We had regular health inspections, and during all of that time, we never had a noted violation, and only 1 or 2 warnings about stuff that already had work orders in place to be repaired. It's funny, after I left there, I worked for a short time in a grocery store within the same district of the health inspector who came to my stores. He came back to check some of my logs and was surprised to see I was there and proceeded to tell me he wished I was back there because they suddenly had a bunch of violations. I live in a province where those things are now required to be posted online for anyone to see, and sure enough, I found a bunch of actual food related violations. Expired product. Apparently my successors were not as serious about food safety, and the actual owner convinced them that it was better to save money than be safe. Fortunately they have managers in place now that I used to work with, people who came back, and I feel okay to eat there. Not that I think many people are going to see this post, but understand that I didn't actually have to throw out a lot. I had carefully worked out my counts per day and rarely over prepped ingredients. The only times we really had to throw stuff out was when we were slower than expected, or the product was at the warehouse for a bit longer than usual. I had no desire to waste product if I didn't have to. Wings and anything deep fried from Pizza Hut. At my store we had several orders of wings every day and our store was pretty busy compared to the nearby Pizza Huts. They never would replace that oil we used, and it would be dark brown for a couple weeks. My store only changed the oil about once every 3 or more weeks despite all the numerous pieces of raw chicken and other fried foods cooking in it. After oil has been used to the point it is dark brown, it takes the chicken a bit longer to cook aside from it being very dirty with each use. Sometimes after the 2nd week of using the same oil I would notice the wings wouldn't cook as well and would be noticeably lighter than fresher oil, sometimes even a little undercooked. Of course our basket are on timer so no one would give a glance at how undercooked the chicken looked. None of the customers noticed really either, since almost everyone gets them covered in wing sauce. To put this in perspective, I used to work at the Walmart kitchen where they cook a lot of chicken and fried foods in the same looking fryers Pizza Hut uses. We would replace the oil twice a week. Managers were on top of that sheet as well, and the oil never got as dark as the oil we used at Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut cooked a lot more food in their fryers than my Walmart did. Every single night we would throw away trays and trays of fried foods. Very surprising to me when I saw this month after month at my work, a mix of managers being too lazy to switch out the disgusting oil and too cheap to use more oil at my store. I would not recommend the wings there or anything fried. I used to work at the Costco food court, got out, then decided to go back in. I don't know, I like the high-paced work environment. You can order anything you want up until we close, but after you're shit out of luck. For people who don't know, my Costco at least would be so packed after closing hours, say 6 PM on Sunday, that we would have customers in line for checkout till 6:30. Then they would straddle along to the food court and ask for a whole pizza. GG you can buy what we have on display, that's it. I just have this mentality, if we are open then we are open, rider. What you like I'm happy to serve you. If we are closed, pucker up because neither I nor my coworkers are gonna put our cleanup time in jeopardy. We take our sanitation, cleanup very seriously, that's how we were trained, and to put it frankly Costco treated us very well. So we worked diligently to return the favor. I wasn't a manager or supervisor to make such calls, but I was most senior during closing times and highly respected. I told my coworkers I'd anyone got pissy tell them talk to me. Same if management came down on them. I told them to say I made the call, and it was to me, not my coworkers, to take responsibility. I guess a silver tongue when taking to higher ups. I just always explained it as I'm trying to protect us department from D&D, product we wanted, and throw away at end kilogram shift, health code violations, since Costco hates working employees overtime. Once our shift is over we need to be out. If we failed to sanitize in time the manager on duty would need to finish on. Sometimes they don't understand the process that needs to occur for full sanitation. Back to the point, don't order the beef brisket, it's a full grease basket. I work at a franchised Wendy's. I should say that none of the food is outright bad, though there are some foods that you should order in a specific way. Unlike McDonald's, we cook all of our meat on a grill and all of our meals are actually as fresh as can be. We don't freeze our meat, veggies, or anything other than some sauces, chicken nuggets, fish, and fries. The thing is, all of those foods are fried foods. Freezing them doesn't matter as much as the more temperamental foods such as burgers and salads. Wendy's serves a lot of food. Choosing what to order and what not to order depends on who you want to please. If you want to make life easier for the workers, please don't order triples. We are only supposed to have 2 rows of 4 burgers per type of burger. The 2 types of burgers we make, singles and juniors, are what we put on our burgers. The singles take 8 minutes to make at a minimum on the standard Wendy's grill, whilst juniors only take between 2/4 minutes. Ordering triplets is hard on the grill guy, and if the restaurant is busy, you might risk getting less than well done meat. The meat will still be edible by all means, but it might be a little red inside. Point. If you're trying to not eat anything gross, I can't honestly say there is anything that is gross. We put a lot of effort into making the highest quality food that we can with the ingredients we have. I take a lot of pride in the food that I serve, and I can speak for my crew when I say the same. Though if you order a triple past dining room close, we won't be the most pleased of people. Point. When it comes to fries, unless you want to risk getting old fries, ask for fresh fries. They take less than 3 minutes to cook, and it's definitely worth it. Point overall, don't be afraid of ordering Wendy's. Just make sure that you are specific about what you want. You can ask your food to be cooked to your liking. Not many people know about that, but we do work to make great food for you. Unless you go to a shitty Wendy's, the majority of us give a shit about not making something terrible. Usually for a variety of reasons, but personally because the food I serve you is something I've made and that you trust to put in your body. That's neat to me at least. Point TLDR. Don't order triples past dining room close. Ask for fresh fries. Remember that we are serving your meal. Be patient. Former fast food worker here. Don't ask for fresh chips/fries, they're fresh. We're in rush hour. They're selling so fast that the chips they're likely only just finished cooking. All you're doing is making us put on an unnecessary amount of fries and making yourself wait for another 5 minutes. Don't order 50 pieces of chicken from a mall food court store, and especially don't complain that you have to wait for it. You think they just have hundreds of pieces fresh waiting for people? How much chicken do you think we sell? And no, you can't have only breast pieces, no wings in your giant bucket of assorted pieces. Chickens have wings. Go fuck yourself. Point. Don't ask for things we don't have. Don't get mad when a chicken place doesn't do hamburgers. Don't yell at us for false advertising because you saw a McDonald's commercial and thought that meant all fast food stores would have a McDouble for some strange faking reason. Point. Don't order a snack box and complain that it's small. It's called a snack box, and you paid like $2 for it. Were you expecting a feast when they have those dumb pita grill things with like 1,000 ingredients? Don't order them. They take like 5 minutes to assemble, grill and slice, and not only do you have to wait a ridiculous amount of time for your food, but then the people behind you get all grumpy because they had to wait longer too. Also, we get timed on how long it takes us to serve people. So at the end of our shift, we get beached at for not taking 30 seconds to make an extremely complicated pita thing. That's also probably why a lot of times you get burgers at McDonald's or similar. They're just kinda tossed together. Blame customers complaining about food taking longer than a minute, and corporate for that one point. Don't come in and ask for us to give you a free box of wet wipes. Those things cost us money. Why would we literally give you 1,000 wet wipes for free? That's idiocy. Don't ask to buy the person serving you's hat. We are not that hard up for cash that we'll give you the hat off our head and the shirt off our back for $5. They make us pay for our uniform anyway, and it cost a lot more than what you're offering. Don't ask us to give you a bunch of free chip boxes because my son doesn't eat anything, not in a fast food container. That's your fault. Let him go hungry until he learns that he can't always get what he wants. If he's hungry, he'll eat what's on his plate. On the subject of parenting, stop ordering 1.35 LT bottles of energy drink for your 3-year-olds. That's faking disgusting. You're literally killing your child. Not that you weren't already by buying them a man-sized fast food meal. Also child related. Quit putting them up on the bench where the food goes, and if your kid can't eat everything, don't come back and lie and say it tasted funny. We all know a 4-year-old little girl can't eat 2 burgers. You were the one dumb enough to buy her 2. You're not getting a refund. What else? Don't order cakes from most fast food places since they were frozen and probably won't taste good. And don't order a ridiculously huge meal minutes before closing. Avoid Subways ran/owned by Indians, mainly cause you'll have to hassle the employee by repeatedly saying more, because we are forced to put the bare minimum on the sandwich. You can tell it's ran by them by how the employees dress your sandwich. If they only put 6 pickles on your footlong, it's ran by an Indian. That is all you're technically supposed to put on, but most managers/franchise owners realize that's not enough and will only enforce it when corporate is around. The reason I say to avoid these types of Subways is based on my personal experience. My first job was at Subway, and it was ran by a white guy, and it was ran good. But I had to transfer to a different Subway because I wasn't getting enough hours to stay in my co-op program in high school. This one was ran by an Indian. He would purposely order the bare minimum for the Vegas so that corporate wouldn't get suspicious, and then would buy Vegas from Walmart or somewhere to supplement our supply. This is bad, because if there is a recall on one of the Vegas from Walmart, then either we won't know about it, or won't know which is which, and he definitely ain't gonna throw them all away. He also one time ran out of a couple of the bottled sodas, so he bought 16 Aussies instead of 20 Aussies and still charged the price for the 20 ounces. If you got the tuna sandwich, it was mostly mayo, because mayo is cheaper than tuna. We would stretch the sheet out of the tuna. I think we rolled back dates on the meats so that we wouldn't have to toss it out. I know not to eat there cause I know they don't wash the containers out as often as they're supposed to. Worked at Tim Hortons a while ago. While the corporate motto is make less, more often, this was definitely not the case here. The baked goods were only supposed to be sold within 4 hours, and if you came in during the morning rush, obviously everything would be fresh. However, anything not sold would stick around until it was sold. This could mean 8+ hours of it sitting there, and it would be pretty obvious to those that know, because the frosting and stuff would become very crumbly after a while. Whether or not that really matters will depend on your take for the next part. The boxes that everything come in has the ingredients and almost nothing was organic, even in part. Lots of chemicals that I can only assume are preservatives. The soup tastes like chemicals more than anything else. During the few months that I worked there, we had a fly infestation because the managers were too cheap to turn on the AC and left the doors open all the time. They refused to do anything about the fly infestation, even while there were flies crawling all over the baked goods. The regional manager came and decided that it was not an issue. Coffee was rarely thrown out, but it was largely dependent on the managers. It was only supposed to be kept for 30 minutes after being brewed, but it was very common that at night, when there are less customers ordering coffee, that it would be left out for much longer than that. I'd like to rant for a moment. Many go out to eat and despise something prepared as fast food. What drives me bonkers is not knowing that everything is packaged. You think that the cows are slaughtered in the backyard of a fine dining restaurant compared to a dollar menu? It's all done in some warehouse/slaughterhouse, so businesses can feed thousands of people a week at a time. Barely anything is really fresh. The same food you get at a restaurant you can get in a can/frozen dinner/deli at the supermarket, and even that's not true fresh. It's as close as we can get. We're all paying for presentation. All food is food. Calories, carbs, proteins, and preservatives in one way or another. Yes, I'm generalizing and I love a nice gourmet meal just like everyone. I just can't stand to think that anything is fresh except the stuff you grow yourself, pick yourself that day or slaughter yourself. We live in a mass consumption society and no one, except those that either pay hundreds of dollars per meal or someone off the grid and living off the land can get that. And even those $100 meals are being taken at the word of someone else. Point now. Excuse me as I eat the 69-cent frozen burrito that I bought on sale at Vons. Domino's here. If you order late, more than likely I'll have some dough that's already been slapped out and has been sitting getting crusty. You better believe I'm gonna use that sheet. If you order for carry out, you'll pay significantly less, like $7 for a pepperoni instead of delivery, where our coupons don't apply. Point. If we are really busy, your food is sitting under the heat lamps until our driver can get to your order. If you don't ask for coupons on the phone, I'm not going to give them to you. You're mad and are taking your business elsewhere. I don't care. Baseless threat. In fact, I'm glad. Point. Everything is made to order. Generally should be a good time if we are not slammed. I genuinely want all you pleasant folks to enjoy your pizza. Point. If you don't tip, I will remember you and will go out if my way to take my time or even take someone else's food to them first, even if you ordered 10 minutes prior to them. Treat me right and I'll hook you up. I always remember the good folks and will give out free credits and great service to you. If you are rude or don't tip me, I won't fuck with your food or anything, but I'm not doing anything extra. I think I need to take a sheet before I deliver your food. It can sit under the rack for another 15 minutes when I take care of business. Oh, you're calling and I see your name on caller ID. Damn, let the phone ring. I accidentally hung up on you or you're breaking up, sir. Point. Generally I'm nice and will help you out, but if you're a dick,